Dan, have you ever been stung by a wasp?
I used to be allergic, and then I simply locked in and got over it.
Wow, your willpower is incredible. I didn't realize. Did you level up? Did you take a feat that gave you anti-venom or something? Or
They told me I was allergic to it when I was little because I got stung and I broke out into hives all over my body. And then as I got older and kept getting stung, that just stopped happening. So maybe I built an immunity to that.
Genuinely, allergies are so mysterious to me. It seems like something, if it didn't exist and you tried to make it up as like a fictional concept, people would have a hard time buying it. They'd be like, yeah, the allergies shit just doesn't sound real. It seems fake that sometimes some people could eat a peanut and their brain just explodes. But then sometimes it's fine and no one knows why exactly. It's just bad world building.
What's never been adequately explained to me is that it's a quote-unquote defense mechanism. I don't think your body's idea of a defense mechanism should be shutting down your airways. That feels like a bad strategy.
Oh no, here comes penicillin. Let's twist our own head off to protect ourselves. Fucking gibberish. Garbage. I am going to sting people this season. I'm very excited.
So we're here. This is a crew gunk. We're talking about characters. We're talking about your character specifically. Austin, do you have any preamble do you want to give here? Because my intro question was going to be on the topic of women's rights to women's wrongs. Where does this character lie?
Yeah, I have had a long history of making morally questionable women. I always roleplay women. I don't know if it even needs a comment at this point. I just find it more interesting. I've been a dude a long time, so I've kind of been there, done that. And so I made Anne in season 1, a religious zealot. I made Wendy McDonald, season 10, a insane assassin spy, and then I made a Hylia in season 11, an egotistical writer. That was the most me of any character I've ever done, but all of them are pretty abrasive and unpleasant in ways. I think they're popular, people like them, but my first instinct is to say to your question, maybe more women's rights than wrongs this season. I'm not gonna play a goody two shoes, but I am playing someone who basically isn't a raving lunatic. I'm hoping someone who sticks to the plan and is at least going to start the season as trying to be a level-headed adventurer. Does that help as an answer?
I think it does, and you know I appreciate it because potentially based off of the discussions that have been had, we might not have a necessarily level-headed person. Sticks to the plan is interesting because it presupposes that there may be plans going into what this party is doing. To give the audience context here, I'm just going to go to our season 13 chat. I'm going to scroll to the character sheet section, and I see your character sheet here. Oh, you're the first person to upload one. That's always great to see. And it was uploaded on 9/21/2024.
Yeah, so 2 years ago. I always do my stuff way before anyone. Like when Quinn was DMing in season 11, I would send her my leveled up sheet 5 minutes after we got off the recording before, the one before we would level up. And like everyone else turns theirs in like an hour before recording the whole next week. Like that's how on top of it I am. I realize I'm bragging about being a turbo nerd, but 15 minutes early is late to me.
Well, I appreciate it at the very least. It has given me time to come up with various little character details I'm going to be throwing at you over the course of this season. Do you want to talk about your inspirations here? Because I think just based off of that timestamp I just gave you, you can go back roughly 2 years. To a few Spewpunks, and you're gonna hear you talking about Mortal Kombat characters at that time.
Yeah, I think obviously people are gonna bring up Devora from the Mortal Kombat reboot series, my favorite Mortal Kombat character of all time. I think she's very cool, but she isn't actually where the character starts. Where it starts, I think I was looking through the D&D book for a class no one's played, and I landed on the Ranger Swarm Keeper. So this was a subclass from the old 5th edition. What we're calling it like 5th edition 2014 or whatever. And I was like, no one's done this. And this really aligns with the fear season because, as everyone knows, pumpkin season, Dinyas, is all about getting spooky. And this is a kind of ranger which has a swarm of like bugs by default, but you could reflavor it that could just like tear people apart. It's like very Brendan Fraser's The Mummy, with all
Hmm.
those scarabs and stuff. So that's the start of it. But as people will hear, I'm not playing a Swarm Keeper because when the new edition of 5th came out, I realized that I would have more fun mechanically playing the Gloom Stalker. So that I kept the insect flavor, but I actually changed just because of the dice I wanted to roll. So, like, to give you a chance to speak, that's actually the first step, was me looking through the book, being like, do I want to be a barbarian? Do I want to be a warlock? How about ranger?
Yeah, I think that's interesting because if you asked me, oh, how is Austin going to approach creating a character, my thought would always be he's coming up with like a personality or something first, not starting at mechanically what do I want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've subverted my expectations, which actually does fit in with what Austin Yorski does. He loves to subvert expectations.
I try to approach things differently each season. One season, my character was based on the tool, a tool proficiency no one had ever done. I was like, that's cool, and then I built the character from there. I bet as the seasons go on, I'll think of wacky new starting places. But yeah, so I was Ranger was the first thing, and everything else grew out of that. So my character is Desiree. I haven't said that yet, and she is a thri-kreen, which is the humanoid insect people. Although in the new edition of D&D, there aren't specific thri-kreen like stats. They redid a bunch of stuff. So I just did a variant human. It's much more flexible. They try to get rid of a lot of the baggage of like, oh, you're a dwarf, so you can't do X, Y, and Z. They're like, yeah, do whatever you want. Just your imagination is the limit.
Yeah, and speaking on the building of this character, just looking at your character sheet right now, Austin, you as a player seem to really enjoy putting yourself in the cock and ball torture machine. I'm seeing some penalties in this sheet right now. I believe you told
Uh
me you rolled for these, and then you decided, yeah, sure, this will work.
huh.
How does it feel being playing a character that I believe both couldn't tear their way out of a wet paper bag and couldn't intuit the idea of taking the paper bag off?
I really like playing characters with all kinds of flaws and mistakes. I think that's where a lot of role playing comes from. I think that's it's just fun to me. I think that really bothers me when I listen to other D&D podcasts or like see streams and stuff, is the constant complaining. Oh, I only have a 1 in this. Oh, I'm taking so much damage. Like, maybe I'm too
Ah,
judgmental.
so Mia, my turn.
Maybe this will come off like hater talk, but I find it really grating. I think getting punched in the face is a cool opportunity to like spit blood out and say something sick. I think being a stupid asshole is a great opportunity to get fucked over and find yourself in a really fun situation that you can then overcome. I like bad things happening. I like all my characters have died, as I've said before. So I sorry to Desiree that I rolled for your bad intelligence and bad strength, but that's just not what you're about. All of your scores except for dexterity are pretty bad. I could have. You can make a strength ranger. I could have done that, and I thought about it because obviously insects are famous for their very high relative strength. Like an
The
ant can
proportional
lift.
strength of a spider, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Famous by Mr. Parker.
But I just played Hylia, who was a super strength build, and so I just, for variety's sake, I thought I'll do Dex this time. It felt more natural. Maybe I'll regret that later, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, she's not the sharpest tool in the shed. She is a rule following soldier. She's the kind of person who signs up for army because maybe that'll give you a better life. What's the other choice? Wander through the woods eating berries?
I mean, what's wrong with that? Who doesn't love berries? Uh,
The kind of wasp I am is specifically a nectivore. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about this more, but she has a lot of body horror elements, but her
mhm.
diet is actually quite wholesome.
Oh, that'll make it all better, right?
Uh
Uh, so you've alluded to this. Do we want to go into the type of wasp you are?
huh.
Because of the body horror elements that you want to play into, your character motivations and the like?
Yeah, I think this might be the most interesting stuff that people want to hear about. So, I believe the way this started was you and I were talking about Gila monsters, a kind of lizard featuring in season 12. And you sent me a video of someone intentionally getting bit by a Gila monster. It's like there's a whole guy on YouTube, and there's like a whole scene of stuff like this that you can find
Mhm.
out there content wise of like the most painful poisons, the most painful bites, the most painful stings. And I looked up like what is the most painful wasp to get stung by, and it is the tarantula hawk wasp. Neither tarantula nor hawk, but it is a wasp. Beautiful blue coloration, and apparently being stung by one hurts so bad you will wish you were dead.
I believe these are also what Cazadors are based off of in Fallout New Vegas. Famous, incredibly annoying enemy. Um,
Yeah, they're like the state insect of I think Arizona or New Mexico, maybe in that area. I used to know all this when I made this character 2 years ago, and I did all this research
uh-huh.
about it. But yeah, they just really fucking suck to get stung by, which really plays into the fear element of this season. People are scared of bugs and they're scared of pain. And I learned a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to try to incorporate a lot of details about the tarantula hawk wasp into my role playing. Not hopefully not to an annoying amount, but like I like looked up like, oh, here's their feeding habits. I'll use that as a element of her personality. I'll look up their reproduction. That's an element of her personality, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, New Mexico, they are the state insect of.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that'll be very interesting. As you know, you forced me to scream at the top of my lungs, describing the horrendous pain that these various characters are going through. Um,
They're the highest on the Schmidt Sting Pain Index, described as blinding, fierce, shockingly electric. Their sting. There's a lot of videos I watched, probably too many, of people intentionally getting stung.
Also, adjectives you would describe to like a runway model.
Yeah, she's stunning, shocking, electric, beautiful. She's moisturized in her lane.
Mhm. So we've talked a little bit about this character, and of course you're referring to the various details of the tarantula hawk wasp. There's another detail we're dancing around a bit. Do we want to discuss that, or leave that for the it to unfold throughout the show?
Oh, I don't know what you're referring to. You're being so mysterious. I'm willing to talk about pretty much everything because a lot of it is pretty open. So this character could, live two arcs and then get blasted in half, and I'll create another weird, spooky guy. Not that I don't love Desiree, but I am not. I try not to have any expectations about my characters. You know.
Fair enough. I guess going off the body horror aspects of this season, something that we know we're going to be dealing with is the acquisition of like physical meat that Harvestkin are using to create new pumpkins, and Frankenstein. The Frankensteins are using to make more Frankensteins. Your
The
flesh
corpse
golems.
economy. Yeah.
Yeah, the corpse economy. You're a little bit different. Tarantula hawks reproduce by injecting their eggs into, I believe, living tarantulas, which then grow out of them and eat them alive.
Yeah, they hawk tarantulas. They hawk to on that thing. That thing being the inside of a tarantula,
All right,
with their
the season's over.
they use their incredibly fucked up venom to make the tarantulas wish they were dead, and then inject a parasitoid grub inside of them, which eats them from the inside out. Like you said, very body horror. Kind of probably good. This is a audio only medium, so our faint heart listeners don't have to suffer. I think Sarah was like, "Should I be on the fear or the courage side?" And I was like, "Sarah." Are you prepared to hear about people getting eaten from the inside? She's like, I'll do courage. I love
Uh
her.
huh.
But no, this isn't something I'm planning on doing constantly. It's like her overarching goal because I was thinking about the life
Is to
cycle.
become a MILF, yes.
Yeah. An interesting fact about these wasps is that they can reproduce without a mate, without a male. That changes the gender of their offspring. If I recall correctly, yeah, fertilized eggs produce females, while unfertilized eggs produce males. So she doesn't need a dude. And in fact, my thinking of her backstory is she has had kids with dudes before, and it was fine. But like the host bodies were mediocre. They were like gnomes and halflings, humans, and those produced mediocre offspring. And she really, her like overarching goal is to have an offspring who can have the best life possible by having the most powerful host possible. So,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm gonna be following whatever our directives are as adventurers to like solve problems and do stuff. But like she's keeping an eye out if she can find the strongest person she's ever encountered, paralyze them and then lay an egg inside of them. That's like her, winning the
So,
lottery.
so she's camping outside of the Olympic Village, looking for hosts, essentially.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know if that's gonna happen on screen. Like in my
Uh-huh.
mind, I think like her post mortem whatever is like she drags the final boss off screen and then comes back with like a buff son and is like, I got everything I wanted, yay! But who knows what the fuck's gonna happen?
Now, something I would be thinking about with this is like a plot point or a character drive is that a lot of like the creatures in this environment are undead, so potentially not a viable host. Does this maybe push her towards more conflict with with New Leon because there is a living I guess environment full of very powerful knights that she might be going, oh well,
Mm-hmm.
those are fertile grounds for me to lay my eggs in.
100%, and I bet that will come up at some point if there's a particularly strong knight that you introduce. If you're like, this is beef slab rock chin, and he's
Mhm.
like so powerful, I'll be like, I'd love to get up in that guy's guts and have a baby. It's fucking, she's so
And
nasty.
there's the title of the episode.
But yeah, it could be anything. She's keeping her options open. But yeah, her whole thing is that there's limited opportunity for thri-kreen in the world, and she is a dutiful soldier. I think that's my literal background is soldier, but she's looking out for an opportunity to give her child the best life. So she's kind of nice. She's weirdly, I think she might turn out to be my least freaky character in some aspects. It's just that biology gave her a hand that is weird to us humans.
Uh-huh. Fair enough. I do think we have a very interesting set of conflicts there, especially if it's like, okay, the rest of the party might be wanting to play nice with these paladins for once, but you're like, well, what if instead egg.
Yeah, Quinn and Laura are like, "What if we strike a peace accord?" And I'm like, "Oh, a peace accord? Yeah, we could do that. We could lay eggs in them." I'm just throwing it out there. Anybody really feeling like laying eggs inside these people? I just remembered that there's a fetish of the ovipositor stuff. I probably should have thought about that more. Too late. I've already
Yeah,
committed to
yeah,
this.
you're a few years deep into this, and I have NPCs prepared, so unfortunately, no backing out now. You're
Uh,
you're pot committed.
Yeah, no, but like obviously, like I said, Devora from Mortal Kombat is a character I really like, and she kind of has a thing where she's like putting grubs in people, but she's also just like so severely unhinged. It's like a fun character. She's like the bug Joker though, and I'm going for more like the bug American Sniper.
Okay.
Which is like, if you think about it, like still not a good person, but on the surface has some admirable traits. We'll, I'm sure, unspool some of that. I also had a really random thought really recently where I was like, what if in the parasitic wasp thri-kreen community, surnames are based on hosts? So I
Mhm.
was like, yeah, well, if your dad was an orc, you'd be like John Orc, and if your dad was a dwarf, you'd be like John Dwarf or whatever. That was just a random thing I thought because they would have just very different family structure because you don't even need a man and it doesn't make sense to adhere to human things. But I don't know if I want to reveal Desiree's last name yet because her personal host is a point of some embarrassment for her and something that maybe will
Desiree
come up.
Yorski.
Yeah, she grew out of a Yorski.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of well. Here's the thought because I don't think we had previously discussed having her having children previously. Does she like want to take an active role in these previous kids' lives? Because I imagine unless she's like, well, maybe this is something to discuss. Is she when she's laying eggs in these people? Is she like kidnapping them and to ensure that these eggs are hatching and then checking up in on them later? Or is this like a Brachiosaurus? I've laid the eggs and fucked off type scenario.
So there are many different kinds of wasps, and I was reading a bunch about this. This is what, like, vespology or something. Whatever, it's whatever the study of wasps is. There are solitary wasps, and there are eusocial wasps. So wasps that like build big nests together, like bees having a hive and so forth. And I thought about
Hmm.
all the different ways I could play this, and what I landed on is that tarantula hawks are solitary. So she doesn't want too many people in her space, and so the kids she's had before with mates, there were very temporary situations, like, you have a summer fling, and then you never see that dude again. You inject your larva into a guy. You hang in the area until you know it's hatched, and then you go about your business. Like, she's not close to these people. But I
Uh-huh.
think part of the reason she wants to, hopefully get her hands on something super strong and cool is to, like, have a child that she feels like closer connected to. She'd be like, look what I did for you. Don't Aren't you grateful? Don't you want to hang out with your mom?
there's there's a lot of interesting mom stuff happening in recent seasons in ever increasing amounts. I don't really know what that says about us, but so what you're saying, I'm liking what you're putting down. Are you prepared for me to throw out the arc where all 300 of your previous children come demanding their child support payments?
Sure, yeah, I'm down for anything. You and I talked a lot about solitary versus social insects because of a rival character idea that we had. I don't know if you want to
Mm-hmm.
introduce this yet, but basically, we're looking up wasp stuff. I think you might have asked, like, was my character scared of? So I typed into Google, like, what are wasps scared of, and which is a stupid thing to ask a computer, but it said peppermint, I guess, because the chemicals upset them, and they do have, like, other things will eat them in the wild and so forth. So I was like trying to draw all this inspiration from the actual biology of these
Uh-huh.
creatures, and so yeah, I was thinking about, I could play a wasp who builds like a nest and like has all these friends, and there's that whole thing. But after some thought, I was like, it's more interesting if she's solitary. Her co-workers, the other party members, Laura and Quinn, are like her only friends, and she has like a resentment against the more collectivist, cooperative nature of the Courage biome of New Leon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there is a rival character. I've done a lot of prep for this character. I think I'm gonna keep the cards close to the chest right now because it's going to be a very different character from yours. I guess if we're talking about, women's rights to women's wrongs, this is gonna be more onto the women's wrongs side of things. But I think it's going to be a very fun NPC that I'm excited to throw at you. And I hope you yes and the pure vitriol I'm going to be spewing.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have fun playing against a rival character. I don't know if I've done that in previous seasons. When I think back about the characters I've played, they've mostly been like thinking about wider context rather than one person they really want to beat the shit out of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see, what else do we have to discuss here. Where's your character living? Have you given any thought to that? Because at least when in talking on the current side of things, I know we have talked about how, hey, where's my character going to like physically live? And that's where you posted a picture in the I think the Discord saying in a hole as a teaser, which I guess might actually also be true for tarantula hawk wasps. I think they live in holes, isn't that?
I believe so. Yeah, I was thinking that wasps can make a kind of paper like that
Mm-hmm.
you make nests out of and stuff by chewing up plant material. She could still do that, and I was thinking she does that to like make her quiver for her arrows, or make her component pouch, or make it out of that paper stuff. But she doesn't build a full blown nest, and she probably mostly hunkers down in like burrows and holes and so forth. But she's not against living in structures if there are, army
Uh-huh.
barracks. Like, we're not. I don't. I asked you on the episode one, like, are we like soldiers or knights or whatever? And you're like, you're just kind of people. So I don't. Wherever the liches tell us to go is where she'll go.
Fair enough. Now, you did. Is bad my like immediate thought with you saying she's kind of living out in the wilds a little bit. I went back to that one episode of The Simpsons where it's your character. They're living out in the woods, and the other two are going. I sleep in a big bed with my wife.
Uh,
It's
yeah.
kind of the vibe where I'm getting with how antisocial she is.
I mean, this is the first one of these we've recorded, so it's possible you get Quinn and Laura on here, and Quinn is like, "I also am in the woods." And Laura's like, "I'm also in the woods." I feel like we all have similar preferences and so forth, and then I could switch it up, and I'd be like, "I actually have a mansion that I look down from." Um,
Fair enough. I think I have in my notes at some point on DIDS the idea that they're stealing houses from newly owned just wholesale, ripping them out of the ground and running away with them. So maybe
whoa.
that'll come up in the season at some point. You've stolen a 2 bedroom apartment at some point, and that's where you're living.
Hmm. I mean, so I don't know if you want to expand more on the situation with our authority figures because, Quinn has her relationship with hers and Laura has her relationship with hers. Mine, we were talking about it and I was like, I want to follow orders. I want to be a good, soldier at the beginning at least. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens. Who is she reporting to and why?
Yeah, so I referenced in the session 0 that there is a sort of diet that runs, the political structure of Dynias, and it is kind of overseen by a lich known as the Koffel. It is I hesitate to call it a hive mind. I think I compared to you how they describe Odo's species in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, where a
Mm,
drop of water becomes the ocean and it's no longer like an individual anymore. It's sort of like a mix of dozens and dozens of spellcasters over the course of an unknown length of time, all molded together into one being. It's been there for as long as anyone can remember. And it doesn't really take an interest in the overall, I guess, political establishment of Dynias beyond the surviving of the greater biome as a whole. And you have been kind of elected as its, I guess, right hand in this strike team that has been formed to not necessarily and maybe enact its will is not the word it would use, but I guess be like it's representative in like physical matters out there,
mm.
because as you said, you take orders and it's going to give you some.
Yeah, when you first said like, "Oh, I report to Gravelord Nito," I was like, "Okay, well, I just went through all this, thinking about her being solitary and having antipathy, if not like disdain for more collective social organisms." And then you gave me this collective unconscious lich guy, and I was trying to think about like, do we want to workshop that or whatever? And where I came to is kind of the way that soldiers in their prime, like Delta Force guys, will have a sort of chip on their shoulder about the generals. Like they're holding us back. They're not letting us win the war. Like these fat cats don't understand what it's like to be a real soldier
They're
or
not letting
whatever.
me lay eggs.
Yeah, so I do want her to be loyal to the cause. I do want her to go where she's told and do what she thinks is right and so forth. But I'm trying to like cook up how exactly she feels about this being, which is like you said, it's not just like a guy who's gonna be like, "Hey Desiree, how was your day at work?" It's gonna be interesting. I'm curious, like once we start role playing in the space, how it's gonna come out. But yeah, I think like the starting point is she respects the system even if she disagrees with like the people who represent it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think probably maybe there's an aspect in here that it's what is it? It's giving you free range to enact the level of violence or I guess Delta Force tactics that you probably wouldn't be able to get if you were just like on your own. I
Mm-hmm.
referenced in like the session 0 that for the most part these various groups play nice with each other, but that's only because like there's it's like what is it, predators at a watering hole. Like they're not like generally they're not going to fuck with each other unless they think they absolutely can get away with it because it's not worth the risk to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And by you being elevated by this being, you now have a way to get away with things that you normally wouldn't be able to.
If the factions of Dynias are the vampires and the Frankensteins and the harvest folk, Desiree doesn't belong to any of those. So it's not like she's going to try to like do machinations for her side to win. Like you said, she does enjoy violence and she's looking for an opportunity to like sting and impregnate some dudes. And this lich is letting her do that, so she's down. But yeah, it's I think that I'm trying to get into the psychology of people who live in the fear biome, you
Mhm.
know, and like to her, it's that's like pretty normal. I think if that makes sense. She doesn't think of herself as like doing anything strange or extreme.
Yeah, I guess like the way I've been intuiting it, we'll see how it plays out in the actual season. Is that like it's a dangerous place to be, but you can probably walk down the street and be fine. Maybe don't go down an alleyway though.
Mm-hmm. Maybe she want to start a fight though, so maybe I'll do that. I have her alignment down as lawful neutral,
Uh,
so that she follows the quote unquote law, which is her orders. But with when it comes to like solving problems, she's not like trying to like uphold any particular dogma one way or the other. She's pretty practical. I'm just looking at my sheet now. She does know a ton of languages, which I took all the spookiest ones: abyssal, primordial, goblin,
mhm.
infernal. Try to maximize my spooky
The
talking.
spookiest one's Goblin.
Uh-huh, they're spooky little guys. When I took the human, the way that the new human works is you get to pick a feat, and I
Mhm.
took poisoner, which makes my poison ignore resistance. I can still be, if there are people who will be immune to it, like ghosts and metal guys, I guess. But I wanted to be able to use poison damage, which is the most resisted thing in D&D. But
Right.
basically, the way I built the character is like when it's my turn, I shoot my arrow and then I pass the turn. I want my turn to take 5-10 seconds tops. Like for me, we've had many conversations about this over the 10 years of the show. But for me, character expression, the way it's expressed in mechanics, is not limited by the system. It's my own creativity. So some people feel really hemmed in by like fighter. They're like, all I do is attack. There's nothing to do there. But I think that gives you the freedom to fight however you want. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So, with how are you going to be reflavoring rope trick? It would be my question here.
Yeah, rope trick is one of the druid spells, or yeah, it's like one of my because I as a ranger I get some spells. I try to take all rituals. Almost all my spells are rituals, because I want to get the sense of her like in the field, like using her knowledge, and also not have to worry about spell slots as much. So a lot of my spells are of the same type. So I have like detecting things, locating things, talking to animals, and so forth. What rope trick? I have. It's funny you mentioned that because that's a spell that I've never actually seen anyone use ever. You basically just go make a rope that shoots up, and then you can climb it.
Let's see. You can make it rise into the air. It looks like rope hangs perpendicular to the ground. Yada yada yada. At the upper end of the rope, an invisible entrance opens to an extra dimensional space. What? What is the purpose of this? The space can hold as many as 8 medium or smaller creatures. Okay, you could you just make a little you make a little hole that you can climb into in the air. That's okay. All right, you've got your little wasp nest you can go to at any point.
It could
For
potentially be
appearing
used for setting up some sort of sniping position in a blind or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. Very great. Just looking at the spells here, this is nothing against how you built your character. It's just funny to conceptually think about stuff like detect poison or disease. When it's like,
uh,
okay, yeah, that's a plague victim. I think he's probably a little bit sick, if I had to take a guess. You've taken silence, of course, which is very classical stealthy ranger type stuff. I think we've got a lot to work with here. Looking at what is your focus? I know I believe we briefly talked about this. You since you do cast spells, you do need an arcane focus. Have you given any thoughts to that? Like what fits Desiree?
I'm using a component pouch instead of the focus, and it's going to be
Okay.
yeah, it's going to be like a paper pouch she made, the way that wasps can like chew up cellulose from
Hmm.
plants and create like a kind of paper from it. So that's what I have there. It's just filled with like nuts and berries and poisons and stuff. I don't know how strict you're going to be about this, but I do have the to make poison technically to keep applying it to stuff. Yeah, my poisoner feat allows me to brew poison equal to my proficiency, so I can get we're at level 7 to start with, so 3 poisons per rest or whatever. So she's going to be doing that unless you are like, oh, Austin, you have to roll nature to get more ingredients or whatever. But that's like one of the only things I'm planning to do when it's my turn, is shoot arrow, poison, or poison my arrow and shoot it, poison my arrow and shoot it, poison my arrow and
Eat
shoot
hot
it.
chip and lie. Yeah.
Yeah, because the way I think about it, and this could be a podcast unto itself, is like when you watch John Wick, you're not like, oh, this is so boring. He's only shooting. Like it's only one verb. I've watched 4 of those movies. They are all awesome because it's about the context, where he is, like who he's fighting, the things like that you
How
add
many
to it.
stairs he falls down.
And that's the stuff I try to add to the fights in not complications. So like in 4th edition, they did this thing where like all the martial classes, instead of just swinging your sword, you had like quick strike, powerful blow, swords McGee or something. It's just like basically spells flavored to make the fighting seem more robust, and that works for some people. A lot of people like that. It's just not for me. Is ultimately what that's down to. I want to make my turns seem as fast as it would if an elite sniper shot 3 dudes in the head, which is like 10 seconds tops.
I think to an extent, if you could do it, your interaction with the mechanics of a tabletop RPG would be a slot machine. The least amount of actual input or effect on your part, and then you role play whatever the result is.
So there are a couple of competitive games that I'm really into, Pokemon and Magic the Gathering mostly, and they have like a almost like chess like quality. I don't want to front and say I'm like really good at chess. I played a little chess in my time, but those are all things which have like a surface simplicity. You have
Uh,
6 Pokemon, they all have 4 moves. That's like all there is to it. In chess, there's like 6 piece types, and in Magic the Gathering, you have like 7 cards in your hand or whatever. But they're all infinitely complex because what you can do out of that, and that's the way I try to approach it. I'm eternally reminded of the most cringe tweet of all time, where a certain lying trillionaire said that he got sick of chess because there was no fog of war. And like that's that's the way some people approach tabletop games, and I don't have that brain disease.
now, but I do think there is a version of chess you could create that's like Battleship.
Uh,
And maybe there's potential there. Maybe we could do something with that. But no, fair enough. I fully get what you're saying. Let's see. Do you have any other details you want to give about your character here at this point?
I guess the thing I will say is that as a DM, I have had a lot of time to hone my approach to try to create the audio experience I would like,
Mhm.
because I'm like very thoughtful about the fact that it's a podcast. You have DM'd and done tabletop stuff a lot in real life, less as the showrunner on a podcast. How are you thinking about like the difference between throwing one enemy with a bunch of hit points versus like 30 enemies because of how that changes the pace of the podcast?
The way I'm going to be running this is not even remotely the way I would run this if it was like an actual I don't want to say actual.
A non-bullshit game.
Yeah. Well, to an extent, in my head, I don't really like think of the Dicebook is a D&D podcast. I do not think of us as like playing D&D. We play
Mm-hmm.
a very very different version of D&D, even from like how it's remotely designed. So I am absolutely altering the way certain like I would normally approach things. to make it fit more succinctly into the 2 hour recording time that we generally do. Like if this was a regular campaign I was running, I would probably throw you into like a situation where there's going to be 6 different enemy types going at you in like a temple complex, and you have to do XYZ while interacting with the environment. I'm probably cutting that down to maybe 2 enemy types and one minor environmental thing you can do in a situation, or refluffing it on the fly. If you say I want to swing across the bone chandelier to eviscerate the blood golems or whatever.
It's really shocking if you like sit down and look at the stats and stuff because it doesn't feel like it should make a big difference between having like two enemies and one enemy with double the health. But from the cognitive load perspective, like what you're asking people to keep in their head, it's just really hard to keep a consistent mental picture if the listener can't see anything. And like even choosing what target to attack, a thing which seems completely inconsequential, is like adding time that accretes over a session. And it's like, oh, if you added 10 seconds here and 10 seconds here and 10 seconds here, it's like, okay, now we can't, we're like out of time. Like we can't get to the
Hmm.
part I wanted to get to. And those decisions didn't mean anything to the listener. Like I could go in the Discord and be like, did you all notice who I chose to attack in that combat? And they're like, I thought it was really funny when you talked about how smelly the butts were. That's what people care about. That's where they are.
I was thinking about the large women actually.
So that's the thing is I think if we were doing this campaign on graph paper or whatever just for our own enjoyment, I think I would be approaching things a lot differently. I'd be thinking about range a lot as a ranger naturally, but
Mhm.
for this character, I took the sharpshooter feat on one of my level ups, which is like I don't get a penalty to doing firing in melee or at my edge of my longest range because it's like, yeah, I'm just shooting. I'm shooting all the time. I'm shooting up close. I'm shooting far away. I'm shooting if they're talking shit. I'm shooting if they're rude to me. I'm just gonna be
You're
shooting
shooting
and
your rope tricks all over the place. These big fat ropes.
yeah. And that's just the way it is, and I personally don't think that's a problem as far as the show goes. So I'm very happy with all that.
Yeah, I mean, I did at one point have a recorded D&D podcast with like video that I was doing years and years ago. Don't look it up; it's garbage. Um, Half the time I forgot to hit record on my audio, so absolute dog shit. But and of course, the nature of that means I can do things with like multiple enemies because you could just see them on the screen
Mm-hmm.
at the very least, and watch and follow along. I did think about making a map for this season. But I'm also afraid of A, that like locking me down too much, and
Mm-hmm.
B, when I made a map for that podcast, uh, Quinn immediately went, "Why are all the lakes purple?" So I don't want to go through another colorblind catastrophe
Yeah,
again.
I do recall this. There was a certain question about where the lakes or what color the lakes were and so forth. I'm looking at my sheet here, and a feature I have that I was curious how to interact is the umbral sight of the Gloomstalker. So Gloomstalker Rangers, they're kind of flavored that they're like spooky shadow
Mhm.
warriors, basically. And in addition to giving me dark vision, I am invisible to other dark vision in the dark is I think the way this works. And I was like, well, this is the fear biome under the spooky moon. Is this going to be a problem? Is this going to be like annoying or overpowered? Because I don't want it to seem like I'm like min maxing to get some sort of advantage.
Well, I think the nature of it would be. I don't think it would be because one of the things that I've talked about is how the moon is ever present. It's a giant shining thing in the sky. So I would say that probably more often than not, you're not in like full dark vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like darkness in most like at least outdoor places. If you go into like a spooky basement, yeah, sure, you can sneak around Jason Voorhees all you like, But if you're like in the middle of a woods, you got like rays of light peeking through. There's werewolves sniffing out for the scent of your butt to bite you, that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
So no, I think we can play around that. I'm not gonna be like, you're never gonna get any use out of this. But it's also I don't think it'd be a scenario where you're just you're fucking you're mogging every enemy while dancing around them invisibly.
Looking at the 2024 book now, I see I got rope trick from the Gloomstalker. That wasn't something I picked because I was so
Uh-huh.
excited about shooting ropes. That was something the game gave to me as part of what I deemed the spookiest ranger, trying to be a fear ranger. That's where that comes from. But most of my stuff is different kinds of shooting people with an arrow. I was thinking about like do I need to add any flavor to her arrows and stuff? Like I assume I'm poisoning them with my own venom as from like my stinger, but I was
Mhm.
like, do I make my arrows out of something specific or anything like that? I haven't really gotten it to that yet. I think she just makes them.
Maya will occasionally watch there's a subreddit called Fight Porn,
Oh
which
no.
is just people beating the shit out of each other. And you'll every so often get someone that's like he added poison damage to his attacks, and it's just someone that pissed on their hands and started swinging.
Oh my god.
So that's to an extent what you're doing, kind of with
Yeah.
your stinger. You're milking yourself for poison, and then attacking people with it.
Look away, I'm milking myself. I've got to go in the bushes and milk myself a little bit. I'm sorry.
You're gonna get blue stinger otherwise.
Oh my god. But yeah, I'm looking at this character sheet. I haven't looked at it for a while. Is there anything else here? She didn't go to college, so that's why her
Okay,
intelligence is so bad.
she did not get more knowledge.
She
Fair
did not.
enough.
Yeah.
She's a little bit charismatic, so like a little bit sexy. That's how she's getting some of these dudes.
Yeah, the only charisma skill I took proficiency is intimidation because she I think can be pretty scary more than also it's just we don't do as much intimidating on the show as the other ones. We're always
Uh huh.
trying to be nice. So I want someone to have that. So that's often the thing that guides a lot of my choices is like what have we not done on the show?
Yeah, I think this might be the most aggressive party on the show in quite a while, at least in the one I've been on up to this point. I'm not sure how often problems are going to be solved with tact and reason, as opposed to incredible physical violence.
That's the way it is sometimes. It's not the chill hang biome.
Exactly. Tootsie's come over here to say hi. I'm giving her a quick little pet before I yeet her off of my desk.
Hi Tootsie. I would never lay eggs inside of you.
She's very happy to hear that. We spayed her for a reason. Let's see. Final thoughts here. I as we've gone over, I am of course changing how I am approaching the season versus what I would normally do. One of my friends, very early on when I first started playing for Dice Funk, saw a picture. I believe Sarah did like a group picture of a bunch of characters in Dragon Quest, and he referred to my character as a heterosexual stain on this LGBTQ show. So unfortunately, Austin, this is the Chud season. I hope you're ready for that. There's going to be the underground underground Chuds coming to attack you, and they're all me.
The cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers are native to the area, so it's really their land. If
Yeah.
anything, I do a chud land acknowledgement before I impregnate them with my ovipositor.
Jesus
Uh,
Christ.
yeah, I think my character is going to be a lot of fun. I'm curious how it's going to interact with the other party, because I know the basic outline of Quinn and Laura's characters, but we haven't
Mhm.
had any role play or anything. I think I pitched to them was that because they are both quasi undead, they both incorporate dead body parts into their characters. I was like, our characters don't have an existing bond, right? Or like we're not siblings like last season. We're not part of the same like political project or anything. I was like, what if I killed the people you're made out of? And Quinn at least seems cool with that. Laura's still thinking about it, but if there's any existing relationship I can think of, that would be it.
Yeah, I think that's a great little wrinkle there. Final question for you, because it's a system that I intend to introduce this season. As you just referenced, two characters made up of dead body parts. Something I wanted to introduce as an option. Maybe this even might just be in some cases like a reflavoring of feats and items. You gave us you've tried to give us leeway this season to come up with magical items. I am going to give you this season options to harvest body parts from things you kill. How do you think that'll affect at all your choices between like if you want to, let's say, how would I put this? Keep someone alive non-lethally to put eggs in them, or maybe you want their legs. Do you think your character would be interested in that sort of transhumanism upgrading, or do they want to keep themselves a pure bug?
Oh, that is interesting because my first instinct is to say like if you were giving me body parts, she could make like heavy metal compound bows or something out of like people's tendons and stuff. Like I could absolutely figure out a use for body parts. As far as like trans thri-kreenism, I don't think she wants to replace anything she's got currently, but that is because I'm starting the campaign. I think relatively uninjured. I think if she like loses a limb or something at some point, that becomes suddenly much more appealing. But like you said, as far as injecting my larva into people, we could talk about like mechanics of that. The first thing that comes to mind is like, yeah, if we catch a mini boss or something, and we're like, oh, let's strip this dude for parts. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I get a C.H.U.D son who's my familiar or whatever. I put a maggot in this guy. My little boy comes out and now he's my my helper.
Your combat infant.
Something like that, yeah. Why not? I mean,
your battle toddler. Okay, all right.
That's the first thing that comes to mind. Yeah, I don't know what time scales we're playing with. It might be they might be too little to help out, but the familiars are a whole thing. I think find familiar is a level 1 spell, so I don't think it's completely unreasonable to be like, oh, the consequence of this is that I have a little guy.
I truly love the idea of using your grub child as a weapon in your war on. I was gonna say your war on terror, but I guess you are the terror.
War for terror. I've joined the war on terror on the side of the terror.
Yeah, your war for terror. I don't know, just the idea of saying "Don't talk to me or my Chud son ever again" really tickles me greatly.
I mean, it almost circles back around to the Swarm Keeper, the kind of ranger I almost was at the beginning, which part of the reason I moved away from it just because I just thought that some of its abilities, like pushing people around, which weren't going to be interesting for the show, where we don't really have exact distances. But another thing was like, oh, I want to be a tarantula hawk. I'm like emotionally invested in that now, and they are not social wasps, like it would make more sense to be a Swarm Keeper if I was a different kind of wasp or a bee. But yeah, that's so I don't want to pivot to be like having an army of suns, my battalion of large suns. But it does if something comes up, that's definitely an option to explore. It could be character development depending on how it goes. You've talked before about everything being fair game as far as killing our mounts and pets. I assume that extends to large suns. So
yeah, especially if you intend to. I don't know. I'm viewing you. I'm in my head. I'm imagining you throwing him at people. So that's just what comes to mind for me. So if you're using your child as a projectile weapon, yeah, like it might not be living for particularly long. However, I don't get the sense that Desiree it has a particular closeness to anything that's not like the Ultra Chud. The Ultra Chud child.
This man has displeased me. Win mommy's approval and maul him, would you? And I'm just chucking my my grub at someone's face. Yeah. Just a normal D&D character as Gary Gygax envisioned. I think he originally said it was like fighter, human, elf, bowman, elf wizard, and thri-kreen.
Chud wielder.
What's the word? Ovipositor fetish guy.
I think they were called Chudmancers back in the day.
Fucking Cronenberg ass role playing.
Damn, these are really big. I'm just looking at a tarantula husk grub. It's basically the size of the tarantula that it's.
Yeah, no, it's
That's it. It's quite a big boy.
this is my large chud son, and I love him.
God. I think that's it. I think we're done here. We got to go record a different podcast in 30 minutes. Austin, thank you so much. This episode was brought to you by Tootsie. She's my large chud daughter.
This season's gonna go down so much smoother if you don't Google any of the things I say, because I also started pulling up my large chud sons, and these are yucky. They're really yucky.
I feel like the one fear I have in the back of my mind is that this season's gonna go off the rails way faster than I'm prepared for. I'm gonna be needing to rein this in so fucking hard, or else I think you're just all gonna be meat grinding each other into dust.
Yeah, the lich is gonna be like, there's a conflict between two farmers in the fields. Go check it out. And I whirl up, and I'm just like, he looked at me funny. Open fire. It's just like pew 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 pew. What are you gonna do?
God. Yeah, the fucking paladins are gonna get there. The entire biome's already been burnt to the ground. They won by doing nothing. Okay. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. You're all my large chud sons. I'm ready to
No, I can't cause too much chaos, because if I get my authority revoked, I'm going to lose access to all those beautiful man wombs.
You got a lot of choices for the title of this episode, and all of them are going to be deeply unpleasant for everyone except for the people that are really into it.